I met Mr. Boakye Ejaku more than 30 years ago in New Jersey, the United States of America, along with a gentleman then called Charles Biney, who has passed on. I traveled to the United States of America to mobilize support for opening up the political space. And it was one of the people who played a very key role in the thinking and supporting the actions which led to the transition from military government to civilian government. And I have no doubt at all that Mr. Boakye Ejaku, in spite of his right-wing orientation, is a fine gentleman who loves his country and is willing to do whatever it takes, to make the country progress. So it is within this context that I take the comments that he has made. However, something has happened in the New Patriotic Party that not many people are talking about. In the run-up to the choice of a flag bearer for the party, we had leaders, all kinds of leaders. Kwabena Japan, Boakye Ejaku, Kennedy Japan, and so on. Tell us about the rot in the party. The fact that the party they claimed had been captured by a cabal, and some of them actually predicted that the fate which has befallen the party would befall the party based on their analysis and so on. Then within the twinkle of an eye, these people were so critical of the party leadership, were critical of the Akufo-Addo administration, who were critical of the manner in which things were being done, based on which they had predicted that the party was going to lose the elections, joined the campaign and started praising Bawumia, praising the party leadership, as if everything was okay. So many people got confused. The lack of consistency of these people who told us rightly that there was something wrong with the party and in the party, and that the party needed a new leadership. Their lack of consistency is shocking and amazing. You understand? Now today, the same people after the party has lost elections have come around, to tell us again that the leadership of the party was not correct, that their candidate was not correct, and so on. Did you know that? And if you knew that, why did you tell the people of Ghana to vote for a leadership that you knew could not deliver, that you knew would lose the elections, that you knew would not pursue the national interest? You see, these people should be told in plain language that Ghanaians are not yo-yos. Ghanaians are capable of thinking. And this election result should teach them a big lesson. How can they be trusted? How can they be different from Dr. Bawumia's team and so on? They all contributed to this defeat, and they should stay in and suffer the consequences. I'm surprised they are jumping out of the ship like rats. The ship is sinking and they are jumping out like rats. But when the ship is in the middle of the ocean and rats jump off it, they fall into the ocean and die with the ship. And that is what is happening. The ship is in the middle of the ocean and rats are jumping off the ship. Where do they go? They fall to the bottom of the sea and they will die with the ship. These people, who is going to take them serious? This display of a total lack of consistency, who is going to take them serious? That's their problem. And they need to overcome that problem. They are pointing fingers. They are pointing their four fingers at the leaders of the party and Dr. Bawumia and so on, forgetting that the three other fingers are pointing to them. That's what is happening. You people, why did they join the Bawumia campaign? Because they didn't want to be left behind. Just in case Bawumia won, they still wanted to be in the team, to enjoy the benefits of office and so on. That's why they jumped onto the campaign team. That's why they went around the country telling us to vote for somebody that they themselves had come to tell us was not good for the job. They should be ashamed of themselves and stop this Bawumia bashing and NPP leadership bashing and so on. They were part of the problem. You understand? Now, with regards to the former member of parliament, also an NPP member, I think it's Honorable Enin, who has started pointing out the ills of the party and who is saying that he's ready to assist the new administration to recover what they call the loot and so on. I have a lot of respect for him. He's been consistent. He never changed his position, unlike those of them who went around the country dancing palubo. You saw them shaking their waist as well, as if shaking their waist will bring the electorates to vote for Bawumia. You saw those videos, shameful videos, you know, and so on. But this guy was consistent throughout. He's never changed. Ever since I've known him, he's been principled. He's spoken what he thinks is the fact and so on, and has said that there's a new agency about resetting the party and resetting the country. And I want to believe that he's very sincere, you understand. Now, he claims that he has information that he can make available to the new government, first of all, to, you know, retrieve the loot and to entrench principles of accountability and probity and so on. I want to believe that he knows what he's talking about. Okay. Now, every citizen, whether they belong to the New Patriotic Party or to CPP or to the other one, Shedda's party and so on, have a responsibility to help the government to recover funds that it can recover in order to invest these funds into the national development effort. The Constitution enjoins us to uphold the principles of probity and accountability and so on. So that is all well and good. However, there have been some criticisms of Ora, which I think are legitimate criticisms and need to be looked at. First and foremost, this incoming government campaigned on the basis of the need to include women in the management of national affairs. The gender question was uppermost in their campaign. They campaigned vigorously around the team that they were going to make the first woman vice president and so on. So I was a bit taken aback. I was shocked when the transition team was announced and I could only find two women, one from the outgoing government and one from the incoming government. I said, where is the promise about the inclusion of women? You know, I was taken quite seriously aback. Now, appointments which have been made since then also give cause to worry. Is there nobody in the NDC or nobody in the country, no woman in the country who could serve on this committee? It's an all-male committee. So if you add that to what has happened with the transitional team, there is cause for alarm, cause for worry. And I think that all of us who insist on gender balance, all of us who insist on respect for women, all of us who insist that women are as capable as men should begin to see these signs and begin to talk down before it is too late. Gender balance is an important pursuit, you know, and we need to give it a push and so on. So that's one consideration. Then there are those who have said, and I've read some of the editorials. I've read the editorial of the Daily Guide this morning. I think I've read the editorial of the Graphic and so on, which all insist that whatever happens, even in the pursuit of the principles of probity and accountability and so on, ought to be lawful. We cannot argue with that.
Yeah.
We cannot argue with that. Nobody can argue with that. And I'm quite sure that President Mahama himself, President-elect Mahama himself, will want to do things lawfully. But at every time, every stage, whenever something is being done, we ought to have a mind to legality. Legality.
Yeah.
Legality. It's important, you know. Because, look, what we're doing now is within the framework of this limited bourgeois democracy. This is not a revolution. You understand? This is not a coup d'etat. This is within the ambit of liberal bourgeois democracy. This is a liberal bourgeois democratic order. And I thought, and I still think, that this country can only move forward if we completely reset this country. Completely reset this country. That's what we're doing now. Okay. So we have to have a mind to what is lawful and what is not lawful. I think it's a very useful caution. Now, some other issue which was raised related to how the committee was going to be funded, I think is rather childish. And my good friend Okudzato Ablakwa has responded adequately to that.
Yeah.
I mean, he has said that members of the committee would fund themselves, they buy their own petrol, they will not take salaries, they will not take allowances, and so on. So that answers that question adequately. And I don't think that that's even an important issue. If what is happening is lawful and is in the national interest and is meant to protect the public purse and is meant to ensure that the principles of accountability and probity are upheld, I won't count the cost. You understand? But for those who want to count the cost, the answer has been provided that look, this is really a pro bono exercise. Now, even in raising the question about the lack of women on the committee and so on, does not imply incompetence on the part of those who have been appointed. I mean, Mr. Dumelevo was the former Auditor General of Ghana with an impeccable track record. You understand? If you take COP Kofi Boachi, he's an experienced police officer and a lawyer. You understand? I mean, if you're counting policemen who have actually dedicated their lives to fighting crime and so on in Ghana, you cannot ignore him. So he's a pillar in the police establishment, and his experience would be useful. Then there is Martin Pebu, who is also a very experienced lawyer and an outspoken public advocate and so on. And then my good friend Raymond Asher, who has demonstrated skills, extraordinary skills in investigative journalism and so on. Now with Okudzato Ablakwa, Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa, in this last 8 years, if you are looking for somebody who has pursued the objectives, of probity and accountability, you cannot, take his name out of the list and so on. So these are a crop of dedicated people, a crop of experienced people, a crop of knowledgeable people and so on. But still, the issue of gender balancing and the issue of how lawful this exercise is need to be looked at.
Right, thank you very much. Still to come.